But they like seeing you, Jayla.
Do they really?
I don't know. My sister liked seeing you.
That's your sister.
And like several people were like, haha, I love how your roommate is there in the background. Maybe it will become like my new thing.
It's just me in the background.
Yeah. Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you all the books that I have read for college thus far that are actually interesting, because I've read like textbooks and like not fun books, but then I also have like fun books that I've read and they're really interesting, so I thought I would do like mini review type discussion type stuff about books that I have read in college. And practically these are the reason that I have not been reading for fun that much, but you guys have inspired me and I got a library card at public library that is near me, so I've been reading. I know, it's wonderful. I love it. Reading is the best. I'm going to talk about them by class, and I'll give a little description of what the class is, and I've only read for 2 of my classes, so yeah, we'll get started now. It's so much harder to film here because my window is right in front of like the quad, so people are like walking back and forth all the time and they can see me. They see me and they're just like, what is she doing? This first group of books I read for my FYS class, and FYS stands for First Year Seminar, and it's pretty much the class that all the freshmen are put into to like teach them something, and all of the FYS classes have a theme. My class doesn't really have a theme. I think it's like identity or something like that, but we read 4 books for this class, and I will just show you the books that we read. The first 2 books that we read for this class were Persepolis 1 and Persepolis 2 by Marjane Satrapi. These are graphic novel memoirs of the author, and she grew up during the Iranian Revolution, and we just get to see her growing up through this and how she adapted and her life based off of what happened to her. And I love these books so much. They are my heart song. The majority of the people that I've talked to about this book did not like these books, and I don't really understand why. It made me really upset because these books are kind of amazing and I think they're like must reads, and I was actually super excited when we got to read these because they were actually on my list beforehand, so I was like, hey, time to read it. And yeah, I'm really glad that I read these. I gave them both 4 out of 5 stars, and one thing I love about reading books like this for school is that when you have to write papers about them, it's not like a punishment, and writing the papers for these was definitely not a punishment. Then we read a semi kind of boring book, but I thought I would talk about it because it's kind of interesting, but it's called They Say I Say, and it's pretty much a book telling you that papers are pretty much like a template to be filled out, and they give you templates, and you just kind of like fill out what the template is saying, and then you have a paper. And like, reading this book was kind of pure torture, and I don't really agree with the template thing, but when I need to find like a way to start an argument, I always go to like the back of this book and I'll be like, oh, I need a way to start an argument, and then I'll just go to the back of this book and there is a little template for me. And it's like, it's not plagiarism because all of the prompts that are in the back of here, the templates that are in the back of here, are like just general known stuff. So it's just kind of like, oh, here is stuff to get you going, but you really do all the work. And I really liked it, but reading this book was pure torture. And yeah, so it was helpful, but I hated reading it, if that makes sense. The final book we read for this class was The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt, and this book is pretty much just talking about different hypotheses of happiness, or like why people are happy, or it talks about like different ways people find happiness. And this book was quite interesting. It wasn't my favorite thing I've ever read in my whole entire life, but it wasn't like the worst thing ever, and it really made me think a lot, if that makes sense. It has like a lot of like little stories that the author like talked about and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it was a good read. Not really. It was a good read for school, if that makes sense. The next 2 books I read for my applied theater class, and when I signed up for this class, I didn't really know what applied theater is, and now I still don't really know what applied theater is, but I know that it makes a difference. So yeah, that was a good description. Good job, Gabby. The first book that I read for my theater class was Theater for Community, Conflict, and Dialogue, and this one just talks about like different games and such that can facilitate and help someone with applied theater, if that makes sense. So we read this and then we would talk about it, and we would just like play the games that are in here and see like what our whole class thought about it, and it was really interesting. This one quote that I read in this book, like, this book wasn't like the funnest, I don't know, I don't speak English. It was not the best book I've ever read for theater, but it had like specific little like quotes and stuff in it that really made me happy, and this was one. It says, "Theater allows us to converse with our souls, to passionately pursue and discover ways of living with ourselves and others." And that was beautiful. Yep, it was a good book. It was fun. The final book I read for my applied theater class was The Laramie Project and The Laramie Project 10 Years Later, and these are two plays that kind of follow the aftermath of this tragedy that happened in 1998 in Laramie, Wyoming. And what pretty much happened was this kid who is gay was like beaten and completely like left for dead, and this town didn't really know how to handle it because they were pretty homophobic, and it was just really crazy. And this play is pretty much just interviews that this group that made the play did with people from the town talking about it, and it's just like really crazy to see what the people thought and everything. I think it would have been better if I watched this play instead of read it, because it was very choppy and I was really having a hard time seeing how everything would be staged out in my head, so it would have been better to read it. But it was a very educational book, and I really liked the conversation we had in class after it. That is it for this video. Please down in the comments let me know if this is a video that you would like me to do next semester with the books that I read next semester as well, and if not, that's alright. We are here to learn. Hopefully for the rest of this month I will be able to do a November wrap-up for you guys, because I actually have been reading books. I don't know if I'm going to be doing TBRs anymore, but I will let you guys know in my next video if that's a thing. So I hope that you all are having a wonderful booktastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!